So the topics I'm going to talk about today are listed below. Let's see, what are these? So first topic is active and passive voice, which is important you to know that what is the active tone of the writer and what is the passive tone. Because once you know the passive and active tone of the writer, then only you understand the grammar properly. Because many grammar rules focused on active and passive. Many grammar rules changed according to the active and passive tone. And I know that most of you already have some knowledge about active and passive, but let's just talk about this topic in detail. So I wanted to give you meticulous knowledge about active and passive, and just repeat this with me, right? So first is active and passive voice. The second, I'm going to talk about verb form shortcuts. Very important topic, having a lot of subtopics in this main topic. Number 3, I'm going to talk about noun, article, clues. Then we do have preposition clues and tense keywords. Make sure that you are not going to miss any portion of this session, because once you miss some of them, maybe you won't be able to get that point which I wanted to explain you, right? So please be with me, try to participate in this session, write down your answers in the comment section, so I'll be able to see how much your engagement, how much you understand these grammar rules, right? And if you have any doubts, please feel free to write down in the comments and I'll answer you guys. Right, so why not let's move to the first topic, which is active and passive voice. Let's see what is an active voice. As you can see that I have already written here who performs the action, and I'm hoping that you guys get the idea why I've written this here. Because the active voice is that something is active, right? Let's just make it more simple. First, we'll just try to read a simple definition, and then I'll explain you in much more deeper perspective. In active voice, the sentence gives importance to who performs the action, right? The subject. The subject is prominent in active voice. Who is performing or who is doing something, right? As it carries out the verb's action, right? Let's see what question do we have when we see any sentence, right? Can you ask a question to yourself? Okay, something happened, but who did that, right? For example, she picks the keyboard. If I'll try to say pick the keyboard, you might think who is going to pick the keyboard? I didn't mention, right? So who is very important in active voice. Always remember this. Who is doing the activity is important, right? So who is doing or who did this task, it is important in active voice. Let's understand with an example. I'm having an example which is John wrote the report. So the importance goes to John. Why? Because who wrote the report? That is the question, right? Always remember who is doing the activity. That subject is important when the tone is active. So active voice always have the subject, and according to the voice or according to the active or passive voice, grammar change. Make sense? So I have already written here, focus is John, who is a subject, right? Who performed the action, who is doing the activity. Makes sense? Let's move to the passive voice and what is the difference. Let's just try to understand this. Passive voice, as you can see on my screen that I have written here, purpose or result of the action, right? So in the passive voice, understand with the definition. In passive voice, the sentence shifts focus to the purpose or result of the action, not who performed it. Let's make it more simpler. So the subject becomes secondary and the object receiving the action takes center stage. Let's make it more clear. It answers a question, what was done, right? Or why was it important? Nobody is going to ask you who did the task, who did this activity, right? The importance goes to activity. So have you completed the activity or not? That is the important question. What was the activity which is done? Or why was it important? For example, the report was written and then by John. Previously we have read John wrote the report, right? In that sentence, John was important because we were looking at the person who was performing the activity. Here, our concern, the report should be written, right? Doesn't matter by John or by somebody else. So focus, convert it from John to the purpose, which we really wanted to achieve. So the report, purpose, or relevancy. Makes sense. Let's do some more examples together. So in active, we'll say John baked the cake. Who is important? John, who is baking the cake, who is important in this sentence. Without John, we won't be able to complete the sentence. It doesn't give us a complete meaning, doesn't give us a complete sense. So John is important if we are having this type of structure, sentence structure. So John baked the cake. When we convert this sentence into the passive, we'll get the cake was baked by John, right? What was John doing? Baking the cake. So what activity we wanted to complete? Baking the cake. So our purpose was we need to bake the cake, right? So we just pick our purpose and grab to the central stage to give more importance to the purpose. That purpose is more important than who is completing that task, right? So the cake was baked by John. If I'll just cross out, I'm not going to write by John. I just say the cake was baked, and that's what we want to, right? And that's what we want to achieve, that the cake should be baked. So purpose is achieved. All right. Let's move to the next one. In active sentence structure, we're having the subject, the manager, organized verb form plus the meeting. What we have organized, the purpose, meeting, right? So the manager organized the meeting. Let's understand in passive. The meeting was organized. I haven't mentioned by the manager, but the sentence gives full meaning because whatever we wanted to achieve, we have already achieved, or we are talking about that purpose. Have that purpose done or haven't? Makes sense. Next, we are having Mary cleaned the room. Who cleaned the room? Mary, right? So importance goes to Mary. When we move to the passive, we will say the room was cleaned. If we just skip this by Mary, the sentence still complete. Sentence gives its full meaning to the reader. Make sense? The mechanic repaired the car. Without the mechanic, sentence won't be completed. Won't give us a full sense or full meaning, right? So the mechanic is important here. But when we move to the next form, passive, we are giving importance to the task. The car was repaired by the mechanic. You can remove that. You can skip this. Doesn't matter by the mechanic or by the boss or by somebody else. We don't really care about it. We just care about it in passive tone that the car was repaired. Next one, the committee announced the results, right? Passive, the results were announced. Doesn't matter who announced, but the results were announced. Good. All right. Let's move to the next topic. Next topic, I'm having verb form shortcuts. I'm going to explain you first. Also, we'll be getting that understanding with the help of examples. So the first subheading in our verb form shortcuts, has, have, had. Always use third form of the verb. How? Let's understand with examples. First one is, she has finished her homework. And one thing which is very important here, I'm going to share the rules according to the active voice, not the passive right now. I will very soon, but right now I'm focusing to the active. Keep that in your mind, right? Don't mix this with the passive sentences. In active sentences, how you can understand that I'm talking about the active sentences. You can see that who finished the homework, I have mentioned here, right? She. We are answering the question, who did this, right? We're having the subject who is doing the task, who is doing the activity, right? So that's why this sentence is active voice. She has finished her homework. So whenever you see has, have, had, you always go with third form of the verb. Next, he has seen the Eiffel Tower, right? Has, we're using third form of the verb. And who is performing the activity? We have mentioned in this sentence, he, right? They have written a book. They. Who is doing the activity? They. And then we are having have. With have, we're using third form of the verb. Have written a book. I had spoken. Had. Third form of the verb. Spoken to him before the meeting. We have. Who did the activity? We, right? So active voice. We have, with have, third form of the verb. We have gone to that restaurant several times. She had lost her wallet before she arrived. He has taken the test twice, right? So who did the task? He. We have mentioned in the sentence, so it's an active voice. And then with has, always remember, we go with third form of the verb, taken. They had completed the project on time, right? Who completed? They. Had, with had, we go with third form of the verb. She has made excellent progress. We have built a new house. Let's move to the next one. Next we are having am, is, are, was, were. Always go with verb plus ing, right? In active voice. So let's understand with examples. I am reading. This sentence is active voice sentence, having who did the activity, who is reading, right? So I am reading. What? A novel, right? So I am reading a novel. After am, after is, after are, after was, after were, we always go with verb plus ing. She is cooking dinner now. They are studying for their exams. He was playing football when I called. So he was playing, right? He is doing the activity. With was, we're using verb plus ing. So whenever you see in your PTE reading fill in the blanks that you're having active sound, active tone in the sentence, you know that there is a subject who is actually doing or performing the activity or the task. And then you see was, were, am, is, are. You will find the blank there, right? And in that blank, you will be 100% sure that you need to go with verb plus ing, right? We were waiting for the bus yesterday. She is writing an email at the moment. He was running, right? So who is running? He. Was, with was, we're using running, right? Verb plus ing. They were working in the office. I am listening to music right now. She is dancing at the party. Let's understand the third point. In our third point, we are having will, shall, can, could, may, might, must, should. Whenever you see all of these words, you need to go with verb first form, which we normally say base verb form, right? So the first form of the verb. Let's understand with some examples. She will travel. So we know who is traveling, right? We know who is doing the activity. So it is active voice. This sentence having the active tone, right? She will. When we see will, we always go with the first form of the verb, right? So she will travel to Paris next year. Next one is we must follow. So when you see the subject who is performing the activity or who is doing the task, so we know in the sentence, it means the sentence is an active voice, and the active voice sentence, we are having must. And this is a grammar rule that with must in active voice sentence, we always go with the first form of the verb, follow, right? So we must follow the rules. He might call you later. So with might, we're using call, first form of the verb. And we know that this is an active voice, that this sentence is an active voice sentence. They can sing very well. You should practice regularly. She could finish the work on time. So he may try. He, who is trying? He, right? So active voice. May, with could, with should, can, might, will, must. We always use first form of the verb. You shall start the presentation at 5 p.m. They could explore new ideas. I might help you with the assignment, right? Let's understand the fourth one. 2. Always use first form of the verb after to. Let's understand with examples. I like to read books in my free time, right? I, who is performing. So I like to read books. Who likes to read books? I, right? So it is an active voice. In active voice, we are having to, and this is a grammar rule. In active voice, when we are having to, we always go with first form of the verb, right? I like to read books. He loves to cook. She plans to visit. They hope to travel. We decided to join, right? He wants to explore. So after to, always go with first form of the verb. She aims to become, right? I need to improve. They prefer to study. She agreed to meet. All right, so we have completed so far. So I'll be sharing next 3 topics in my next upcoming video, because otherwise it will be too long for me to explain you. It's better to split this session, grammar session, into 2. Please don't hesitate to question. Whatever question comes in your mind, feel free to write in the comments. Talk to me. I have already shared my number with you guys, so you can approach me. You can message me. I'll try my best to help you guys. All right, so what we have completed up until now, we have covered active passive voice and we have covered verb form shortcuts. In my next videos, you will be able to see next 3 of these rules: noun article clues, preposition clues, and tense keywords. Thanks for watching my session. Thanks being with me. Thanks for subscribing my channel. It gives me your appreciation and kind words. It really motivates me to create more content which helps you guys. It really means a lot to me.